Yoga Nidra, the sleep of yogis. Welcome to the Listen and Sleep channel. Make yourself comfortable. Allow your body to find support. Allow your breathing to slow down. We continue our journey through ancient India, through its wisdom, through its practices, along paths that have led humans toward themselves for thousands of years. Today, we will go where you travel every night, to the threshold of sleep. But we will go differently, not falling through, but entering consciously, slowly, maintaining clarity where you usually lose yourself. Yoga Nidra, two words that together mean something remarkable. Yoga means connection, union. Nidra means sleep, the sleep of yogis, but not ordinary sleep in which you dissolve, lose the thread of awareness, disappear for several hours, and then wake up remembering nothing. Yoga Nidra is sleep in which you remain. Remain as a witness. The body falls asleep. Muscles relax. Breathing becomes subtle, almost imperceptible. And inside, the light of consciousness continues to burn, quietly, steadily, without effort. Imagine a threshold, an ordinary threshold between two rooms. On one side, bright day, movement, sounds, thoughts. On the other, deep night, silence, peace. Every evening, you cross this threshold without noticing. One moment, and you are already on the other side. One moment, and there is neither room nor yo. Yoga Nidra is the art of lingering on the threshold, not crossing, but remaining, standing where day meets night, where waking touches sleep, where thoughts still exist, but are already dissolving, like clouds in the evening sky. Why is this important? Why did the sages of ancient India value this state so highly? Because on the threshold, everything is different. Here the mind still works, but not so tightly, not so persistently. Here you can hear what is usually drowned out by the noise of thoughts. Here you can plant a seed, an intention, a dream, a decision, and it will fall into fertile soil, deeper than doubts and fears can reach. Here the body recovers faster than in ordinary sleep. Here the mind is cleansed of accumulated tension. Here something happens that is hard to name, but which feels like returning home to yourself. In ancient texts, different states of consciousness are described. Waking, Jagrat, when we perceive the external world through the sense organs. Dreaming, Swapna, when the mind creates its own worlds, populated by images, desires, fears. Deep, dreamless sleep, Sushupti, when there is neither world nor mind, only peace. But we are not aware even of that. And there is a fourth, Turiya, a state beyond the three, pure awareness that is present in all the others, like the sky is present behind clouds, whatever they may be. Yoga Nidra is a bridge to Turiya. It is a practice that allows you to remain conscious where awareness usually fades. You are not sleeping in the usual sense, and you are not awake. You are in the gap, in the crack between worlds. And this crack turns out to be not narrow and cramped, but infinitely spacious, as if behind a door you have passed thousands of times. An entire universe opens up. Those who practice Yoga Nidra describe it differently. Some speak of deep peace, unlike anything they have ever experienced. Others, of the strange sensation that the body is gone, but you remain. Some see images, vivid as dreams, yet know they are not sleeping. Others simply feel silence, so complete, so alive, that it seems tangible. What they share is this. After practice, people feel rested, deeply, as if they had slept many hours, though only 30 minutes passed, or an hour. Time in Yoga Nidra flows differently. This is not magic. It is physiology, joined with awareness. When the body truly relaxes, not superficially, but deeply, layer by layer, measurable changes occur. Stress hormone levels decrease. The parasympathetic nervous system activates, the one responsible for restoration. The brain shifts from beta waves, active thinking, into alpha and theta, the very waves that appear at the border of sleep. And while normally this transition takes a moment, 1 instant, and you are already asleep, in Yoga Nidra, you learn to stretch it, to remain in it, to explore it. Some traditions call this space between sleep and waking by a special word, hypnagogia, the entrance to sleep. There, at the boundary, strange images sometimes arise. Faces, landscapes, geometric forms. Sometimes voices or sounds are heard. Sometimes the body jerks suddenly, unexpectedly, as if falling. This is called hypnagogic myoclonus. And then you are already asleep. The gates have closed behind you. But what if you linger at the gates, not rush through them, but stop? Stand on the threshold, looking around. This is Yoga Nidra, the art of dwelling in the gap, the art of stretching a moment into eternity. When scientists measure the electrical activity of the brain, they see different rhythms. In ordinary waking states, when you are active, thinking, solving problems, beta waves predominate. Fast, high frequency, around 13 to 30 cycles per second. This is the rhythm of the daytime mind, busy, focused, sometimes anxious. When you relax, close your eyes. Let go of thoughts. Alpha waves appear. Slower, around 8 to 13 cycles per second. This is the rhythm of calm presence. You are here. You are aware, but without tension, without clinging to thoughts. Like looking at a lake on a windless day, the surface smooth, reflecting the sky. And when you sink even deeper to the border of sleep, theta waves come, 4 to 8 cycles per second. This is the rhythm of creativity, intuition, deep memory. In this state, images arise, insights come, the forgotten surfaces. This is the state of hypnagogia. This is the state of Yoga Nidra. Usually, we do not linger in the theta rhythm for long. Either we wake back into alpha and beta, or we slide deeper into delta waves, the rhythm of deep, dreamless sleep, less than 4 cycles per second. Yoga Nidra teaches you to stay in theta long enough for it to matter. Not minutes, but tens of minutes. Sometimes longer. Why is this important? Because in the theta state, remarkable things happen. The critical mind, which usually filters everything we hear and think, that voice which says, "This is impossible. This is stupid. You cannot do this." That voice quiets down. It does not disappear entirely, but recedes into the background. And what we hear in this state penetrates deeper, much deeper. This is why sankalpa, the intention we will discuss separately, is spoken precisely at the border of practice, when consciousness has already descended into theta. What could not be heard on the surface finds its way into the depths of the mind here, like a seed planted in fertile soil. The theta state is connected to other phenomena as well. Creative people, artists, musicians, scientists often describe how their best ideas come at the edge of sleep. Half asleep, half awake, they suddenly see the solution to a problem they have struggled with for weeks, or hear a melody they then record, or see an image that becomes a painting. This is not coincidence. In the theta state, the mind frees itself from its usual framework. Boundaries between concepts blur. Unexpected connections arise. There is also a therapeutic aspect. In deep relaxation, in theta rhythm, the body activates its repair mechanisms. Cortisol, the stress hormone, decreases. The immune system strengthens. Blood pressure normalizes. Chronically tense muscles relax. This is not metaphor. These are measurable physiological changes. 30 minutes of Yoga Nidra can give the body rest equal to several hours of ordinary sleep. But the most remarkable thing is what happens to the sense of self. In ordinary waking, we clearly feel boundaries. Here I am, and there is the world. Here is my body, and there is the space around it. In hypnagogia, these boundaries begin to dissolve. Sometimes there is a sensation that the body has grown larger, or smaller, or disappeared entirely. Sometimes it feels like floating, or falling, or flying. These are not hallucinations. They are normal phenomena of the threshold state. The brain is remapping its body image, and in the process, unusual sensations arise. For yogis, these sensations were a sign that the practitioner was approaching something important, an understanding that I am not only the body, that the boundaries, which seem so real during the day, are actually conditional, that beyond them lies a space without boundaries, consciousness that does not fit into any framework. Of course, not everyone experiences this immediately. For many, the first practices of Yoga Nidra are simply deep relaxation, and that is already considerable. Some fall asleep, and that is also normal. With time, with regular practice, the ability to remain at the boundary grows. You learn to notice when you begin to slip into sleep and gently return. Learn not to cling to wakefulness when the body wants to relax. You find balance between, on the threshold, in the gap. This state is sometimes described with paradoxical words: wakeful sleep, conscious relaxation, presence without effort. The paradoxes do not indicate contradiction. They indicate that ordinary language is inadequate, that another experience is needed to understand. Not reading about swimming, but entering the water. Yoga Nidra is an invitation into the water, into this strange space between shores, where you are not on the land of waking and not in the ocean of sleep, where waves gently rock you, but you do not drown, where you can simply be, without purpose, without direction, without even the desire to arrive anywhere. And precisely then, when you release all goals, something happens, something that cannot be planned, something that comes on its own. Who are you? A simple question, and infinitely complex. If you ask a person, they will say, "I am my body." Hands, legs, the face that looks from the mirror. Or they will say, "I am my thoughts, my memories, my history." Or, "I am my feelings, my love, my fear, my joy." But the ancient sages of India looked deeper. They said, "All of this is not you. All of this is covering, sheaths, koshas, and the real you is there, inside, behind all the layers." In the Upanishads, in the Taittiriya, the teaching of 5 sheaths is described. Pancha kosha, 5 coverings, wrapping the true self, like layers of an onion, or Russian dolls nested within one another. Each sheath is its own reality, its own world, its own experience. And Yoga Nidra is a journey through all 5, from external to internal, from gross to subtle, from what can be touched to what can only be felt, and further to what is beyond feeling. The first sheath is Annamaya Kosha, Ana means food. This is the body built from food. The physical body you see when you look at yourself. Bones, muscles, skin, organs. That which is born, grows, ages, and dies. That which hurts when struck and feels pleasure when touched by something pleasant. This is the outermost layer, the most obvious. Most people identify themselves with it. I am my body. When the body suffers, I suffer. When the body dies, I die. In Yoga Nidra, work with the physical body begins with relaxation. You lie down. Close your eyes. Allow muscles to release tension. Jaw, forehead, shoulders, belly. Everything that was clenched unclenches. Everything that was held releases. The body becomes heavy, or light, or disappears from perception. This is the first step, calming Annamaya Kosha, giving it rest, ceasing to cling to its sensations. The second sheath is Pranamaya Kosha. Prana is life force, energy that pervades all living things. It is not simply breath, though breath is intimately connected with prana. It is what distinguishes the living from the dead. When prana leaves the body, it becomes a corpse, though all organs are in place. Pranamaya Kosha is the energy body, a network of channels through which life force flows. Tradition speaks of 72,000 nadis, energy channels pervading the entire being. In Yoga Nidra, this sheath is addressed through awareness of breathing, not control, simply awareness. You notice how breath enters and exits, how the belly rises and falls, how air touches the nostrils, cool on the inhale, warm on the exhale. Gradually, breathing slows by itself, becomes thinner, lighter. Sometimes it seems to have almost stopped. This is a sign. Pranamaya Kosha is calming. Energy ceases to rush about and finds balance. The third sheath is Manomaya Kosha. Manas is the mind, that part of consciousness which thinks, feels, desires, fears. It is the stream of thoughts that does not cease from waking to sleeping. It is emotions that color every moment: joy, sadness, anger, anxiety. It is memory that stores the past and imagination that paints the future. Manomaya kosha, is turbulent, changeable, impermanent. It never stands still, like the surface of the ocean, always in motion. In ordinary life, we are completely identified with this sheath. I am my thoughts. I am my emotions. When sad, I am sad. When anxious, I am anxious. We do not notice that thoughts come and go, but the one who notices them remains. In Yoga Nidra, this sheath calms gradually through all the previous stages. When the body is relaxed, when breathing is calm, the mind itself begins to quiet. Thoughts become rarer, quieter. Pauses appear between them. In these pauses, space, silence, peace. The fourth sheath is Vijnanamaya kosha. Vijnana means wisdom, discriminating knowledge. This is not the ordinary mind that thinks and worries. It is a deeper layer, the one that knows. Intuition, the inner voice, that part which understands without words, sees without eyes, feels truth directly, bypassing logic. This is the witness, the one who observes thoughts, but is not itself a thought, the one who sees emotions, but is not captured by them. In Yoga Nidra, access to this sheath opens when the mind is sufficiently calm. Then a strange sensation appears. You are observing the body, the breath, the thoughts. But you are not these. You are that which observes. This is difficult to describe in words. It must be experienced. Many practitioners describe the moment when they suddenly understand, I am not sleeping, but I am not awake either. I simply am, observing, present, without effort, without tension, without goal. The fifth sheath is Anandamaya kosha. Ananda means bliss. This is the subtlest layer, closest to the true self. Not pleasure that depends on external causes, receiving something pleasant and feeling good. Not happiness that comes and goes, but bliss in itself, causeless, unconditional, a state of deep satisfaction that needs nothing external. It simply is, as background, as foundation, as the nature of consciousness. In deep Yoga Nidra, some practitioners touch this sheath. They describe it as peace, unlike anything they have ever experienced, as a feeling of fullness, completeness, as if everything is already fine, not because circumstances turned out well, but just so, because this is the natural state when all coverings thin out. This is not the goal of practice. If you make it a goal, it eludes you. It is a gift that sometimes comes, a glimpse of what is always here beneath the layers. And beyond all sheaths, Atman, the true self, that which is not born and does not die, does not change and does not suffer. Pure consciousness that witnesses everything, body, energy, mind, wisdom, bliss, but is itself none of these. The Upanishads say, "This is you. Tat tvam asi, you are that. Not the body, not the thoughts, not the emotions, but that which is aware of all this." Yoga Nidra does not promise instant enlightenment. It offers a journey through layers, through sheaths. With each practice, a bit deeper, each time a bit closer to the center. You begin with the body, relaxing muscles, releasing tension. Move to energy, observing breath, allowing prana to find balance. Calm the mind, letting thoughts dissolve in silence. Touch wisdom, becoming the witness. And sometimes, only sometimes, you feel a glimpse of bliss, that which is always here, that which is you. At the very beginning of practice, when the body is just starting to relax, when the mind has not yet fully calmed, an invitation sounds. Formulate your intention, your sankalpa, and at the very end, before returning, when consciousness has visited the depths, the same words again. Repeat your intention. This element is not merely ritual. It is the heart of practice. What makes Yoga Nidra not only rest, but an instrument of transformation? Sankalpa. The word consists of two parts. San means connection with higher truth. Kalpa means vow, resolve, intention. Together, a resolve connected to truth, or true intention. Not merely wanting, not merely wishing, but a deep, conscious decision aimed at changing life, at becoming who you want to be, at releasing what no longer serves, at awakening a quality that lies dormant within. How does sankalpa differ from ordinary desire? Desire comes from the mind, from that part which wants, compares, envies, fears missing out. I want a car. I want to be rich. I want to be loved. Desires are often based on lack. I do not have something, and I want to get it. They are often contradictory. Today I want one thing, tomorrow another. They are often superficial, not touching deeper needs. Sankalpa comes from a different place, from depth, from that layer which knows what you truly need. Not what you want, but what you need for growth, for healing, for becoming whole. Sankalpa is not about getting something from outside. It is about revealing something from within, about becoming, not having. How to find your sankalpa. This is not a quick process. You cannot simply sit down and invent an intention. You must listen to what repeats in your life again and again, to what hurts, to what is missing. Sometimes sankalpa comes on its own during practice, in a dream, in a moment of silence. Sometimes it takes time to ripen. Many practitioners say, I did not know my sankalpa until I started practicing, and then it simply appeared, as if it had always been there. I just had not heard it. The form of sankalpa matters. It is formulated as an affirmation, not as negation, not I will not smoke, but I am free from addictions. Not as a wish for the future, not I want to be calm, but I am calm, as if it is already true, as if it is already so, because at a deep level it is. Sankalpa does not create something new. It reveals what already exists. The seed is already in the ground. You need only give it conditions to grow. Short, simple, clear. One sentence you can repeat mentally in a few seconds. I am healthy and full of strength. I am open to love. I am free from fear. I find my path. I am at peace with myself. The words can be anything. The main thing is that they resonate, that when you speak them, something responds inside, that there is a sense, yes, this is mine. This is what I am moving toward. Why is sankalpa spoken precisely in Yoga Nidra? Because in ordinary states of consciousness, our intentions meet resistance. The critical mind says, "This is impossible." Past experience says, "You already tried. It did not work." Fear says, "What if it fails?" All these voices create a wall between intention and its manifestation. We decide and do not act. We promise ourselves and forget. We swear to change and remain the same. In Yoga Nidra, this wall thins. When the body is relaxed, when the mind is calm, when consciousness descends into theta rhythm, the critical voice quiets. Intention spoken in this state penetrates deeper. It reaches where words usually cannot go, into the subconscious, into those layers that govern our habits, our reactions, our patterns. And there it begins to work, slowly, invisibly, like a seed planted in dark earth. This is why sankalpa is spoken twice. At the beginning, when consciousness is just starting to descend, and at the end, when it has reached maximum depth and begins to return. The second time is most important, because at that moment, the mind is most receptive. Defenses are down. Doors are open. The seed falls into the most fertile soil. Satyananda wrote that sankalpa planted in Yoga Nidra will surely sprout. Not tomorrow, perhaps. Not in a week. But it will sprout. Because it is planted in the right place, at the right time, in the right way. He compared it to planting a seed in fertile earth. All you need is patience. You do not need to dig it up every day to check if it is growing. You need to trust the process. Important. 1. Sankalpa. Not a list of desires. Not 10 points. 1 intention. And the same intention is repeated practice after practice, week after week, month after month, until it becomes reality, until it sprouts, until you feel, yes, this has happened. Now you can take a new seed. Some people change their sankalpa every practice. This is a mistake. Like a gardener who digs up the seed every day and plants a new one, nothing will grow. Constancy is key. Even when it seems nothing is happening. Even when the mind says, this is not working. Even when much time has passed. Trust the seed. Trust the soil. Trust the process. Sankalpa works not only in Yoga Nidra. It begins to permeate daily life. You notice you make choices you would not have made before. Notice you react differently to familiar situations. Notice something has shifted, imperceptibly, gently, but shifted. This is the seed sprouting. This is intention becoming reality. There are practitioners who say, I have no sankalpa. I do not know what I want. This too is normal. You can practice without a specific intention, or with a simple intention. May what I need to know be revealed. May what I need come. With time, with practice, with diving deeper, sankalpa will be found. It is already there inside, simply waiting for you to hear it. And there is another level, sankalpa without words. When you simply know, feel the direction, sense the intention with your whole being, but cannot name it. This too works, because sankalpa is not in words. Words are only pointers, and the intention itself is beyond them, deeper, in silence, where seeds need no names to sprout. Close your eyes and feel your right hand, thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, palm, back of the hand, wrist, forearm, elbow, shoulder. So begins one of the key parts of Yoga Nidra, rotation of consciousness, a journey of attention through the body. It seems simple, just noticing one body part after another. But behind this simplicity lies deep wisdom and precise science. Why does this work? Why does simple awareness of body parts cause such deep relaxation? To understand this, we must look into the brain. In the cerebral cortex, there is a zone called the somatosensory cortex. This is a body map. Each of its parts corresponds to a specific body part. But this map is not proportional. Lips occupy a huge area, hands also very large, and the back quite small. This reflects the number of nerve endings. The more there are, the larger the zone in the cortex. Neuroscientists created a visual representation of this map. The homunculus, a little person with huge lips, huge hands, a large tongue, and a tiny torso. Strange, almost grotesque, but it shows how the brain actually perceives the body. not as you see yourself in the mirror, but as you feel from within. When attention moves through the body in Yoga Nidra, it passes through the entire somatosensory cortex, activates one zone after another, creates a wave of awareness that rolls across the entire body map in the brain. And something happens. Zones that were tense, that were sending alarm signals, calm down, as if you are saying to each body part, I see you, I feel you, you can relax, I am here. The order in which attention moves is not random. In classical yoga, Nidra, according to Satyananda's method, it goes from periphery to center, from limbs to torso, right hand from fingertips to shoulder, left hand, right leg from toes to thigh, left leg, then back from bottom to top, belly, chest, neck, face, mouth, nose, eyes, forehead, crown. This route reflects both the anatomy of the nervous system and the energetic map of the body. Speed matters. If you move too slowly, the mind begins to wander. You linger on one body part, and thoughts carry you away. What will I do tomorrow? What did that person say? Why does my shoulder hurt? If you move too fast, you do not have time to feel. Attention skims the surface without diving deep. There is an optimal rhythm, fast enough that the mind stays engaged, slow enough that awareness is real. Satyananda called this rhythm a stream of consciousness without gaps, like a river flowing continuously. One body part transitions to another without pause. Thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, without stopping to reflect, without trying to feel deeper. Simply notice and move on. Paradoxically, this very speed creates depth. The mind is so busy following the stream that it has no time to be distracted, and it dives. During rotation of consciousness, you do not move body parts. Do not tense them. Do not try to relax them. Only notice. Pure awareness without action. And something remarkable happens. Relaxation comes on its own. You do nothing special for the right hand. Simply become aware of it, and it relaxes, as if the tension was connected to forgetting. to inattention. And when attention comes, tension has nothing to hold on to. This is connected to how the nervous system works. Usually, we become aware of body parts only when they hurt or demand attention. Something itches, we notice. Something goes numb, we notice. The rest of the time, the body is at the periphery of consciousness. We live in the head, in thoughts, and the body carries tensions we do not even notice. For years, for decades, jaw clenched, we do not notice. Shoulders raised, we do not notice. Belly held in, we do not notice. Rotation of consciousness is a return to the body. Systematic, complete, without exception. Every part receives its moment of attention, even those you never think about. The little toe of the left foot, the right shoulder blade, the point between the eyebrows. When was the last time you consciously felt these places? Perhaps never. In Yoga Nidra, you feel them, and something changes. Some traditions add visualization to this. Imagine each body part glowing when you name it, or becoming heavy, or warm. These additions enhance the effect. But rotation of consciousness by itself is already a powerful practice, even without any additions. The connection with ancient Nyasa is obvious here. The same principle, attention moves through the body along a specific route. Only in Nyasa, a mantra or divine energy was placed at each point. In Yoga Nidra, simply awareness. But the mechanism is the same. The body becomes a map. Consciousness becomes a traveler. And in this journey, something happens. Practitioners describe strange sensations during rotation. Sometimes a body part seems huge, an arm the size of a room. Sometimes tiny or absent. Sometimes the boundaries between parts blur. The arm smoothly transitions into the shoulder into the neck, and you cannot tell where one ends and another begins. This is normal. These are signs that the brain is remapping its body image, that familiar patterns are dissolving, that space is opening for new perception. After rotation of consciousness, the body feels different, as if thinner, lighter, more transparent, or the opposite, deeper, denser, more real. Both are possible. The main thing is that something has shifted. What was background has become figure. What was forgotten has become conscious. And in this awareness, healing. Not magical, not mystical. Simply, when you notice tension, it has no reason to remain. It releases on its own, naturally, like breathing, which no one forces, it simply is. Breathing is the only body function that can be both automatic and conscious. You can forget about it, and it continues on its own. Or you can pay attention to it and take control. This dual status makes breathing a bridge between body and mind, between unconscious and conscious, between outer world and inner world. In yoga, Nidra breathing plays a special role. It becomes the anchor that holds consciousness at the boundary, not letting it fall asleep or fully awaken. After rotation of consciousness, when the body is already relaxed, when the body map has been redrawn by attention, it is time to turn to breathing, not to control it, simply to notice, to observe how it flows on its own. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, without effort, without interference, as if you were watching waves rolling onto shore. You do not create them, you simply see. This subtle distinction between control and observation is very important. When you control breathing, you are active, doing something. The mind is occupied with a task. When you simply observe, you are passive in the right sense, present but not interfering. And precisely this non-interference allows breathing to find its natural rhythm, deeper than when you think about it, slower than when you try to breathe slowly. The body knows how to breathe. You need only stop getting in its way. In Yoga Nidra, different ways of breath awareness are used. One of the simplest is counting. Count breaths in reverse order, from 27 to 1. Each inhale, exhale is one number. 27. Inhale, exhale. 26. Inhale, exhale. 25. And so on. If you lose count, start over. If you reach 1, you can start again, or simply remain in observation. Why reverse counting? Because it requires attention. Counting from 1 to 27 is easy. You can do it on autopilot. Counting backward you need to be present. The mind cannot simultaneously count backward and think about something else. And this is the secret of the practice. Counting occupies the mind enough that it cannot wander, and yet not so much as to activate analytical thinking. Perfect balance. Another way is awareness of breathing in different body parts. Feel how breathing moves in the belly. The belly rises on inhale, falls on exhale. Now feel breathing in the chest. Ribs expand, contract. Now in the throat. Air passes through the throat, cool on inhale, slightly warmer on exhale. Now in the nostrils. The subtlest sensations. Barely perceptible touch of air against the walls of the nose. This is not visualization. It is one sensation. Breathing can actually be felt in different body parts. We simply do not usually pay attention. In Yoga Nidra, we do. And this changes the quality of breathing. It becomes finer, more conscious, as if filling with light. There is an even subtler way. Awareness of prana, the life force that moves with breathing. This is no longer simply physical breathing, air entering and exiting. This is energy that breathing carries. You do not see it with eyes, but you can feel it as warmth, as tingling, as movement of something invisible but real. On inhale, prana enters. On exhale, it spreads through the body or dissolves into space. Tradition says the mind follows prana. Prana follows the mind. When breathing is restless, the mind is restless. When breathing is calm, the mind calms. And conversely, when the mind rushes about, breathing becomes uneven. When the mind is calm, breathing naturally evens out. Two ends of one thread. Pull one, and the other follows. In Yoga Nidra, we use this. Not by forcibly slowing breathing, that would create tension, but by gently observing it. Observation itself slows, as if your gaze added weight, and the swings of the mind begin swinging slower. With each cycle, a bit slower, a bit deeper, a bit finer, until reaching an almost motionless point. In deep yoga, nidra, sometimes there is a sensation that breathing has almost stopped. This is not dangerous. The body is breathing, just so quietly, so subtly, that you barely notice. This is a sign of deep relaxation, a sign that the mind has also almost stilled, a sign of approaching that boundary state for which all this was begun. Breathing in Yoga Nidra performs another function. It returns you if you begin to drift. When consciousness sinks too deep toward sleep, when you start losing the thread, return to breathing. Simply notice it. Inhale, exhale. This is like dropping an anchor. It keeps the ship from being carried away by current. You will not fully awaken, simply will not fall completely asleep. You will stay at the boundary. Some practitioners say that over time, breathing becomes an object of meditation in itself. They can spend hours simply observing air entering and exiting. And in this observation, an entire universe. Each inhale is unrepeatable. Each exhale, a little death and a little birth, beginning and end, again and again, like ocean waves, like the heartbeat of the universe. At the end of the breath awareness stage, the practitioner usually is in an even deeper state than after rotation of consciousness. The body has dissolved in relaxation. The mind has calmed. Breathing has become almost invisible, and consciousness, like a boat on still water, going nowhere, needing nothing, simply is, simply present, ready for the next stages of the journey, or ready to stay here in this silence as long as needed. The world as we know it is woven from opposites, day and night, light and dark, heat and cold, joy and sorrow. We live between poles, drawn to one, repelled by another. We want the pleasant, avoid the unpleasant. Seek comfort, flee from pain. All our life is swinging between extremes. But there is a place where opposites meet, where they dance together, where they cease to be enemies and become partners. This place is in Yoga Nidra, in working with pairs of sensations. After the body is relaxed, breathing has calmed, the mind has quieted. It is time for a special practice. The guiding voice invites, feel heaviness in the whole body. The whole body is heavy, very heavy, as if made of lead, as if pressing into the floor, impossible to move, so heavy, and you feel it. Heaviness grows, fills every cell. And then a switch. Now feel lightness. The whole body is light, weightless, like a feather, like a cloud, as if you could fly, and heaviness disappears, replaced by lightness. The body floats, boundaries dissolve. You are air, light, emptiness. Again, heaviness. Again, lightness. Rapid switching, without pause for thought. Heavy, light, heavy light. And something strange happens. Opposites begin to merge. You can no longer say, is it heavy or light now, or both at once, or neither. The boundary has disappeared. This is Dvandva, working with pairs of opposites, an ancient practice described already in the Bhagavad Gita. One who has gone beyond duality is free from suffering, says the text. But how to go beyond? How to stop swinging between poles? One way is to meet both. Avoid neither. Live through both, consciously, completely, to the end. And then they let go. In Yoga Nidra, different pairs are used. Heaviness and lightness, the most common. But there are others. Warmth and cold. Imagine your whole body is hot. Heat spreads from center to periphery. Skin burns. Inside, like a furnace. And then cold. Icy cold. The body freezes. Blood chills. Goosebumps on the skin. And again, warmth. Cold. Warmth. Cold. Until the boundary disappears. Until there remains simply sensation without a name. More pairs, pain and pleasure. This is harder. Remember a moment of pain, physical or emotional. Allow it to be present. Do not run. Simply be with it. And then remember a moment of pleasure. Deep, pure pleasure. Allow it to be as well. Pain, pleasure, pain, pleasure. You begin to notice they are not so different. In both intensity, in both energy. Only the direction is different, or that is what we called it. Joy and sorrow. Remember a moment of joy, bright, unrestrained. Remember a moment of sorrow, deep, quiet. Switch between them. and notice, in joy there is a shadow of sorrow. In sorrow, a glimmer of joy. They are not opponents. They are facets of one crystal. When you look straight, you see one color. At an angle, another. But the crystal is one. Why does this work? Why does this heal? Because most of our suffering comes from avoidance. We do not want to feel the unpleasant. We turn away, suppress, hide in the depths, and it remains there, unlived, unintegrated, pressing from within, seeping into dreams, exploding in unexpected places. In Yoga Nidra, there is safe space for meeting. Body relaxed, mind calm, defenses down. You can allow yourself to feel what you usually avoid. Cold is not so frightening when you know warmth will come. Pain is not so unbearable when pleasure follows. And gradually, fear leaves. You understand, these are just sensations. They come and go. None is eternal. None will kill you. They are simply waves on the ocean surface. And you are the ocean. There is an even deeper level of this practice. Not just switching between opposites, but their simultaneous presence. Feel heaviness and lightness at the same time. How is this possible? It is impossible, says the logical mind. But it is possible, says experience. Because you are not the mind. You are that which is aware of the mind. And in this awareness, there is space for everything, for heaviness and lightness, for warmth and cold, for joy and sorrow, simultaneously, without conflict. This is non-duality in action, not a philosophical concept to understand with the mind, but direct experience lived through the body. When opposites coexist, where are you? You are not in one pole or the other. You are in that which holds both, in that space which includes all possibilities. This is Turiya, the fourth state, the witness for whom there is no duality. After the stage of working with opposites, many practitioners describe a strange peace, as if something released inside, as if some inner conflict they did not even know about has disappeared. This is integration. Parts that were warring with each other have made peace. Energy that was spent on avoidance has been freed. you become more whole, more spacious, more free. In daily life, this manifests as greater stability. Fewer things knock you off balance. Fewer situations seem unbearable. You already know any sensation is temporary. Any emotion is a wave. It will come and go, and you will remain. The observer, the ocean over which waves pass, but which itself is not a wave. The dance of opposites continues always. Day gives way to night, summer to winter, joy to sorrow. This is the nature of life, but you are no longer a victim of this dance. You are its witness, perhaps its dancer, one who moves with the music, not against it, one who knows in the center of the dance there is a motionless point, and that point is you. Close your eyes. Not physically, they are already closed. Close them inwardly. Turn away from everything outside and look into the darkness before you. Simply darkness, empty space behind closed lids. But if you look long enough, the darkness begins to come alive. Colors appear, forms, shadows, images no one created. They arise on their own, from the depths, from that place where all dreams are stored, all memories, all untold stories. This is Chidakasha, the space of consciousness. Ancient yogis knew about it thousands of years ago. They discovered that behind closed eyes, there is not just darkness. There is an entire universe, an infinite screen on which images, thoughts, visions unfold. Some call it the inner sky, others the space of the mind. But the name does not matter. What matters is that you can look there, and what you see changes something inside. In Yoga Nidra, visualization is one of the most powerful stages. After the body is relaxed, breathing has calmed, opposites have reconciled, it is time for images. The guiding voice begins listing them, quickly, one after another. A well, a rising sun, a tall palm tree, a temple in the mountains, a golden egg, a boat on a river, a child playing in a garden, moon over ocean, an old man sitting by fire, a white lotus, a snake coiled in rings, a burning candle, clouds in the sky, smoke rising from a fire. images replace each other so quickly that the mind has no time to cling to them, no time to start analyzing. Why a well? No time to remember where it saw such a temple. No time to assign meaning. Simply sees. An image flashes and disappears. Next, next, next. Like slides in an old projector, like frames of a silent film, like dreams that are dreamed in a second, but contain entire worlds. Why is this speed important? Because slow visualization is work of the mind. You build an image, detail it, hold it. This requires effort. This is wakefulness. But rapid switching of images is something else. It allows the mind to release control. It is not creating pictures. Pictures come on their own. The mind becomes viewer, not director, passive but present. In this state, images from the subconscious begin to surface, not those the guide lists, others, your own, personal, sometimes strange, inexplicable, a face you do not recognize, a place you have never been, a symbol whose meaning you do not know. They come uninvited, rise from the depths like bubbles from a lake bottom, and burst on the surface of consciousness. What to do with them? Nothing. This is perhaps the most important instruction. Do nothing. Do not analyze. What does this mean? Do not try to understand. Where did it come from? Do not cling. I want to see it again. Simply observe. Allow it to be, and allow it to go. Image came. Good. Image left. Also good. You are the screen. Clean, empty, motionless. Images pass over you like clouds across sky. But the sky does not become a cloud. It remains sky. This is purification through observation. Ancient wisdom that modern psychology is only beginning to understand. When something suppressed rises to the surface and meets awareness, it loses its power. You do not need to take it apart. You do not need to understand its history. It is enough simply to see, to acknowledge its existence, and let go. The light of consciousness, like sunlight, it dissolves shadows simply by shining. Symbols that appear in Yoga Nidra are often universal. Jung called them archetypes, images that live in the collective unconscious of all humanity. Sun, source of life. Water, the unconscious. Snake, transformation. Tree, connection of sky and earth. Child, purity, new beginning. These images appear in dreams of people from all cultures, in myths of all peoples, in visions of yogis and mystics. When the guide lists images in Yoga Nidra, they intentionally include many of these archetypes, not a random collection of pictures, but a carefully selected sequence. Images that resonate with deep layers of the psyche, that awaken something ancient, pre-verbal, pre-human, what lived before you learned to speak, before you knew your name. Some images may evoke emotions. Unexpectedly, tears at seeing an old tree, or warmth in the chest at the image of fire, or slight unease at seeing a snake. This is normal. This is a sign that the image has touched something, struck something alive. There is no need to fear this, no need to suppress. Simply allow the emotion to be. It, too, is an image, also a guest on the screen of consciousness. It will come and go, like everything. Sometimes, during visualization, there is a sensation that you are not just seeing images. You are in them. You are not looking at a mountain temple from afar. You are standing on its steps. You do not see a river. You are floating on it. This is deepening of state. The boundary between observer and observed becomes thinner. You enter the space of images as one enters a dream, but you keep a spark of awareness, a thread that keeps you from getting lost. This resembles lucid dreaming, and not by chance. Yoga Nidra is training for this state. Those who practice it regularly often begin to become aware in their dreams more often, to understand in the dream that it is a dream. And then a new world opens, a world where you can fly, talk with the dead, travel through universes that do not exist, a world without limitations, a world of pure consciousness. But this is a side effect, not the goal. The goal of visualization in Yoga Nidra is purification, liberation, dissolution of everything that has accumulated in the depths. Images are like buckets that draw water from the well of the subconscious and pour it into the light. With each draw, the well is a bit cleaner. With each practice, less stagnant water, less suppressed, less of what presses from within, not letting you rest. Some practitioners ask, what if I do not see images? What if just darkness? This too is normal. Visualization does not work the same for everyone. Some see vivid pictures, as in cinema. Some vague shadows. Some nothing. But even if you do not see, you hear the words. And the words themselves create an echo in the mind. Not a picture, but something. A sensation. A hint. A trace that remains. It is important not to try. Not to strain inner vision. Not to try to force an image. This is the opposite of what is needed. The more you try, the less you see. Because effort is wakefulness. And images come from sleep, from that place that cannot be reached by effort, only by relaxation, only by letting go, only by trust. By the end of the visualization stage, the practitioner often feels strange, as if having been somewhere far away, as if much time has passed, or no time at all. Time in the space of images flows differently. A minute can seem like an hour like a minute. This is a sign of deep immersion, a sign that ordinary perception has receded, that you have touched something greater than the ordinary mind. Chidakasha, the space of consciousness, remains with you after practice too. It is always there, behind closed eyes. You can return to it at any moment. Simply close your eyes. Simply look. Not outside, inside. Into this velvet darkness that is not quite darkness. Into this space where dreams are born. Where all the stories you have ever heard live. Where images you have not yet seen wait. Your inner sky, infinite, alive, always open, for one who remembers how to look. Ancient yogis did not use instruments. They had no electrodes, scanners, statistical methods. They observed, practiced, passed knowledge from mouth to ear. And what they discovered thousands of years ago, modern science is only beginning to confirm. Slowly, carefully, with instruments, graphs, and peer-reviewed journals. The first scientific studies of Yoga Nidra began in the 1970s. Scientists from Denmark and Sweden became interested in what happens in the brain of a person practicing this strange method. Lying motionless, listening to a voice, claiming not to be asleep. How to verify this? Very simply, electroencephalograph, a device that measures electrical activity of the brain. Those very waves we spoke of earlier. Results surprised the researchers. Yoga Nidra practitioners showed a pattern that did not fit familiar categories. Not wakefulness, too many alpha and theta waves. Not sleep, awareness of external sounds was preserved. Ability to follow instructions. Something third. A state that had previously been considered mystical fiction, now recorded by instruments. Particularly interesting was the distribution of activity in the brain. In ordinary wakefulness, different brain regions work differently. More activity here, less there. In Yoga Nidra, remarkable synchronization was observed. Different parts of the brain began working in concert, like an orchestra that has found its conductor. This is called coherence of brain waves. And the higher the coherence, the deeper the state of rest, the more effective the recovery. Since then, there have been more studies. Universities in India, the USA, Europe study Yoga Nidra from various angles. Effects on sleep, on anxiety, on chronic pain, on post-traumatic stress disorder, on blood pressure, on stress hormone levels, and almost everywhere, positive results. Statistically significant, reproducible. What happens with stress? When you practice Yoga Nidra, cortisol levels, the main stress hormone, fall. This was measured in blood tests before and after practice. Cortisol is needed by the body. It mobilizes resources in dangerous situations. But when there is too much, for too long, problems begin. Chronic inflammation, sleep disruption, weakened immunity, memory problems. Yoga Nidra helps the body return to normal levels, not artificially suppressing cortisol, but naturally, through deep relaxation. What happens with anxiety? Studies show that regular practice reduces anxiety levels, not only immediately after a session, but in the long term as well. People who practice Yoga Nidra regularly report lower levels of everyday anxiety. They cope more easily with stressful situations. react less to triggers. This is not just subjective feeling. It is confirmed by standardized psychological tests. Especially impressive results came from studies among veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder. Yoga Nidra, in an adapted form called I Rest, helped many who found no relief in traditional therapy. Nightmares became less frequent, flashbacks weaker, overall distress level lower. So much so that the United States Department of Defense included I Rest in its list of recommended methods for military personnel. What happens with sleep? Here too, the connection is confirmed. People with sleep disorders, difficulty falling asleep, frequent awakenings, shallow sleep, note improvements after beginning practice. The paradox is that Yoga Nidra is not sleep, but it prepares body and mind for sleep, removes tension that prevents falling asleep, calms the stream of thoughts spinning in the head, and when time for real sleep comes, it comes easier, deeper, more restorative. There is another interesting phenomenon that research confirms: subjective perception of time. Practitioners often say 30 minutes of Yoga Nidra feel like several hours of sleep. A sense of rest, recovery, freshness, as if having slept much longer. Scientists are trying to understand the mechanism. Perhaps it is about quality. In deep Yoga Nidra, a state close to deep sleep is reached, but without loss of consciousness. This is pure recovery, without admixture of dreams, without micro-awakenings. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change under the influence of experience, is another area where Yoga Nidra shows interesting results. Regular practice appears to affect brain structure. Studies of meditation and Yoga Nidra is close to meditation show increased thickness of cortex in certain areas, strengthened connections between different parts of the brain, changes in the amygdala, the fear center. These changes are not instant. They accumulate over time, but they are real. The brain is not an unchanging machine. It is shaped by what we do. Why does all this work? Scientists propose various hypotheses. One is activation of the parasympathetic nervous system. This is the part of the nervous system responsible for rest and recovery. The opposite of the sympathetic, which triggers fight or flight mode. In modern life, the sympathetic system is often overstimulated. we are constantly in a state of mild stress, deadlines, notifications, alarming news. The parasympathetic system does not get enough time. Yoga Nidra is targeted activation of the parasympathetic, a signal to the body there is no danger. You can relax. You can recover. Another hypothesis is related to attention. In yoga, Nidra attention is directed inward, to the body, to breathing, to sensations. This distracts from habitual thought patterns, worrying about the future, rehashing the past. The mind gets rest from itself. And this rest is healing. It allows the system to reboot, like a computer that sometimes needs to be turned off and on again, so it works fast again. Doctors are beginning to recommend Yoga Nidra, not as a replacement for treatment, but as a complement for chronic pain, for insomnia, for anxiety disorders, for chronic fatigue syndrome. This is not a magic pill. It is a practice that requires time and regularity. But it is safe, almost no contraindications, free, no equipment needed, accessible. You can do it at home, at any time. Science is cautious. It does not make loud claims. It says more research is needed, larger samples, control. All this is true. But the trend is obvious. What yogis knew for thousands of years, that deep relaxation heals body and mind, is beginning to be confirmed by modern methods. Instruments see what practitioners feel. Graphs show what tradition described in words. Two ways of knowing, ancient and modern, are beginning to speak the same language. But even if there were not a single study, Yoga Nidra would work just the same. Its effectiveness does not depend on scientific confirmation. It depends on practice, on whether you will lie down, close your eyes, relax your body. Science can explain how it works, but only you can experience it. Only your body knows what it is like to dissolve in deep peace. Only your mind knows what it is like to stop and simply be. Graphs and numbers are for scientists. You need only lie down and let practice happen. One river, many tributaries. One practice, many schools. Yoga Nidra, like everything alive, developed, branched, found new forms. What Satyananda systematized in the mid-20th century is not the only path. There are others, each with its own history, its own emphasis, its own beauty, and each leads to the same, to deep peace, to healing, to meeting yourself. The Himalayan tradition is another major branch. Swami Rama, an Indian yogi who spent his childhood in Himalayan monasteries, brought it to the West. His approach differs from Satyananda's. Fewer techniques, more depth. Less structure, more immersion. Swami Rama taught that Yoga Nidra is not a set of exercises. It is a state in which you can remain aware during sleep. Real sleep, deep, without dreams. This is the highest goal of practice in his tradition. Swami Rama demonstrated remarkable abilities. Scientists studied him in laboratories and recorded. He could voluntarily change heart rhythm, body temperature, brain waves. He could enter deep sleep on command and still remember everything happening around him. Hear researchers' conversations, accurately name the time when he was woken. This seemed impossible, but the instruments did not lie. The state that tradition called Turiya, the fourth, beyond waking, sleep, and deep sleep, turned out to be real. The Himalayan Institute he founded continues to teach this approach. Here, Yoga Nidra is part of a broader system, connected with pranayama, breathing practices, with meditation, with study of texts. This is not a quick path for busy people. It is a path for those ready to dedicate years to practice. Deep, traditional, demanding. At the other end of the spectrum, I rest. Integrative restoration, so the name is decoded. Richard Miller, an American psychologist and yoga therapist, created this system based on Yoga Nidra, but adapted it for the modern Western person, especially for those who have experienced trauma, military veterans, victims of violence, people with chronic pain, those for whom traditional methods did not work. I Rest removes religious and cultural context. No Sanskrit terms, no references to Indian philosophy. Pure practice described in modern language. Instead of sankalpa, heartfelt desire and inner resource. Instead of koshas, levels of experience. This is not simplification. It is translation, an attempt to preserve the essence while changing the form. The The distinctive feature of eye rest is work with trauma. Miller understood that for people with traumatic experience, ordinary Yoga Nidra can be too intense. When the body relaxes, when defenses drop, traumatic memories can surface. And if the person is not ready, this can harm rather than help. In eye rest, there are tools for safety. Inner refuge, a place within yourself where you can return if it becomes too hard. Pendulation, the ability to move between discomfort and resource without getting stuck in either. This system has gained recognition. It has been researched in universities. It is used in veterans' hospitals. It is included in rehabilitation programs. For many people, eye rest has become a bridge between trauma and healing, between past and present, between pain and peace. There are other modern adaptations. Yoga Nidra for children, with games, stories, imaginary journeys. Yoga Nidra for pregnant women, with special attention to the bond between mother and child. Yoga Nidra for athletes, with visualization of movements, mental training. The practice has proven remarkably flexible. Its essence can be preserved while changing form almost endlessly. Interesting is the connection of Yoga Nidra with the Tibetan tradition. Dream yoga, milam, or yoga of dreams, is one of the 6 yogas of Naropa, the great Tibetan master of the 11th century. The goal of this practice is to maintain awareness in sleep, to understand you are dreaming while you dream, and to use this understanding for spiritual development. For if the world of sleep is illusion, then the waking world is also illusion. Having realized one, you can realize the other. Tibetan dream yoga and Indian yoga, Nidra, are like 2 sisters who grew up in different homes. They have common roots, the tantric tradition, understanding of consciousness as something more than just thoughts. But methods differ, emphases differ. The Tibetan tradition is more focused on dreams, on what happens after falling asleep. Indian Yoga Nidra, on the threshold of sleep, on that state between. Some teachers combine both traditions, create practices that begin as Yoga Nidra, relaxation, body awareness, calming the mind, and then transition into exploration of dreams, or use techniques from one tradition to deepen another. Boundaries blur, methods mix, And in this is the aliveness of tradition. It is not a museum exhibit. It grows, changes, adapts. How to choose your path? This is a good question. And the answer is simple. Try. There is no right or wrong approach. There is an approach that works for you. Some prefer Satyananda's strict structure, clear stages, definite sequence. Some, the freedom of the Himalayan tradition. Some, the modern language of I rest. Some, Tibetan depth. You can start with anything. A recording on YouTube, a meditation app, a book, a yoga class where Nidra is taught. There is no need to wait for the ideal moment or ideal teacher. Start with what is available. If it resonates, continue. If not, try something else. Your body will tell you. Your mind will tell you. What suits one may not suit another, and vice versa. Some people practice one form of Yoga Nidra for years. The same recording, the same sequence, and each time it reveals itself anew. Like a favorite book you reread, and each time find something you had not noticed. Others love variety. Each time a new voice, a new approach, a new emphasis. Both paths are right. The main thing is to practice regularly. Not once a month when things are really bad, but as a habit, like brushing teeth, like morning coffee. Then effects accumulate. The body remembers the path to relaxation. The mind remembers the taste of silence. And over time, you can invoke this state more easily, without a recording, without a voice, simply closing your eyes and remembering where to go. Different schools, different methods, different teachers, but the goal is one: to return you to yourself, to who you are beneath layers of tension, fears, thoughts, to that peace that was always there, simply buried under tasks and cares. Yoga Nidra does not create peace. It removes what hides it. Like an archaeologist who does not create an ancient temple, but unearths it. The temple was always there. You just need to remove layers of earth. People often ask, "What is Yoga Nidra?" And when you try to explain, you start with what it is not. It is not sleep, though the name translates as yogic sleep. It is not meditation, though the practitioner lies motionless with closed eyes. It is not hypnosis, though there is a voice that guides. It is not simple relaxation, though the body relaxes more deeply than in ordinary rest. What is it then? Something unique. A state at the crossroads that does not fit familiar categories. Let us start with ordinary sleep. When you fall asleep, consciousness fades. You cease to be aware of yourself, your body, the surrounding world. Yes, there are dreams, but in them, you usually do not know you are sleeping. You are completely captured by the dream's story. The brain is active, processing information, consolidating memory. But you, as the aware subject, are absent. In the morning, you wake and do not remember most of the night. A gap, a black hole in time. In Yoga Nidra, everything is different. The body is relaxed as deeply as in sleep, perhaps even deeper. Muscles are not tense. Breathing is slow. Heartbeat is calm. But consciousness is present. You hear the guide's voice. You follow instructions. You are aware that you are lying, that you are practicing, that time is passing. This awareness is the key difference. The sleeper does not have it. The Yoga Nidra practitioner does. This is precisely why they say 30 minutes of Yoga Nidra can replace several hours of sleep. Not because it is some kind of magic, but because in Yoga Nidra there are no losses on falling asleep and waking up. No REM sleep phases, which, though necessary, do not give deep rest. The practitioner immediately sinks into a state close to deep sleep and remains there, fully aware. Pure recovery, without admixtures. Of course, this does not mean Yoga Nidra replaces nighttime sleep. No. Sleep is needed for many functions: brain cleansing, memory consolidation, hormonal regulation. Yoga Nidra is not a replacement, but a complement. But if you need to recover quickly during the day, after work, on a break, Yoga Nidra is more effective than napping. Because in a nap, you either fall too deeply asleep and wake up shattered, or do not really fall asleep and do not rest. Yoga Nidra is the golden mean. Now, meditation. How does Yoga Nidra differ from it? Classical meditation is a sitting practice. with straight spine, with active intention. You concentrate on an object, breath, mantra, sensations. You bring the mind back again and again when it wanders. This requires effort. Small, gentle, but effort. You are an active participant in the process. In Yoga Nidra, you are passive, not in the sense of inaction, but in the sense of non-interference. You do not direct the mind. The voice does that for you. You do not bring back attention. Instructions themselves guide it along the route. Your task is simply to follow, simply to listen, simply to allow. This is paradoxical activity, vigilant non-doing, effort without effort, attention without tension. Body position matters too. In sitting meditation, the body is active. It holds the pose. Spine is straight. Muscles work, if minimally. This supports wakefulness. In Yoga Nidra, the body lies in Shavasana, corpse pose, complete relaxation, no holding. The body is completely released. This allows reaching deeper states, but also increases the risk of falling asleep. The balance is delicate. Many experienced meditators notice Yoga Nidra reaches states that in sitting meditation require years of practice. Deep stillness of mind, dissolution of body boundaries, a sense of unity. In sitting meditation, you arrive at this gradually through regular practice. In Yoga Nidra, you can touch it the first time. Not always, not for everyone, but it is possible. Because the lying position and directed instructions create conditions that bypass the usual barriers of the mind. What about hypnosis? Here, confusion is especially common. Yoga Nidra and hypnosis look similar on the surface. A person is relaxed, a voice guides, consciousness is in an altered state. But the differences are fundamental. In hypnosis, there is a hypnotist. There is a subject. There is a hierarchy of power. The hypnotist suggests, the subject accepts. The subject's critical thinking is reduced. This is what allows suggestion to work. In Yoga Nidra, there is no such hierarchy. The guide's voice is a helper, not a master. It proposes, does not command. And most importantly, the practitioner maintains awareness. They do not dissolve in the state without criticism. They observe. They know what is happening. They can at any moment stop, open their eyes, return to ordinary wakefulness. This freedom is the key difference. Furthermore, the goals are different. Hypnosis is often aimed at suggesting something specific. Stop smoking. Not fear heights. Believe in your abilities. Yoga Nidra does not suggest anything from outside. Sankalpa, the intention, is formulated by the practitioner themselves. It is not imposed. Yoga Nidra creates a state in which your own intention can take root deeper. But it is your intention, not someone else's. There is another common comparison with ordinary relaxation. Just lying down and resting, listening to relaxing music, lying on the couch. What is the difference? The difference is in structure and depth. Ordinary rest relaxes superficially. Muscles release a bit. The mind continues to wander. You are resting, but not deeply. Yoga Nidra leads further. Each stage of practice, sankalpa, rotation of consciousness, breathing, opposites, visualization. These are steps leading down, deeper and deeper, to layers that ordinary rest does not reach, to tensions that live not in muscles, but in the mind, to what has accumulated over years and does not leave from simply lying on the couch. Another misconception is that Yoga Nidra is just guided meditation. Yes, there is a voice that guides. Yes, it is similar. But guided meditations are very different. Some are simply a story, a narrative you immerse in. Some are visualization of a specific place or image. Yoga Nidra is a systematic practice with a definite structure tested over millennia. Not just a pleasant journey, but a method with purpose. Some ask, can Yoga Nidra be practiced independently, without a recording, without a voice? Yes, but it is harder, because you need to simultaneously relax and direct yourself. And this is a contradiction. A voice from outside solves this problem. It frees you from the need to remember what comes next. You simply follow. With experience, you can practice independently when the sequence has become natural, when the body itself knows where to go. But for beginners, a recording or live teacher is almost a necessity. There are many myths about Yoga Nidra. that it is dangerous, you can get lost in an altered state. This is not so. The practice is safe for healthy people. You can always return. That it is only for advanced yogis. Also a myth. Beginners often have deep experiences from the very first practice. That you need a lot of time, half an hour, no more. That you need a special place, any quiet place where you can lie down will do. Yoga Nidra is its own category. Not sleep, because there is awareness. Not meditation, because there is no effort. Not hypnosis, because there is no suggestion from outside. Not simple rest, because there is depth and structure. This is a state that ancient yogis found and described. A state that modern science is beginning to study. A state that you can experience. Simply lie down, close your eyes, and follow the voice into yourself. And so we have come to the end of our journey through the world of Yoga Nidra. But the real journey is just beginning. Everything you have learned is a map. Now you need to walk the territory. Words can point the direction, but only the body can experience. Only your own consciousness. Only you. How to begin? Simply. Find a place where you will not be disturbed. No special room or altar needed. A bedroom will do, a living room, even an office, if you close the door. The main thing is that it be quiet, that you can lie down, that no one will enter at an inopportune moment. Lie on your back, arms along the body, palms up, legs slightly apart, feet falling to the sides. This is Shavasana, corpse pose. Sounds grim, but it is the most relaxing pose of all. The body is fully supported by the floor. Nothing needs to be held. Nothing needs to be done. You can put a small pillow under your head so the neck does not strain. Under the knees too, if there is tension in the lower back. Cover yourself if it is cool. The body cools during deep relaxation. Better to be warm than distracted by cold. Close your eyes and press play on the recording, or ask someone to guide the practice, or recall the sequence if you already know it by heart. The first times are better with a recording. A good voice, proper tempo, proven sequence. Later, when you have learned, you can experiment. When to practice? The best time is when you are tired, but not yet falling asleep on your feet. The second half of the day. after work, before sleep, but not right before. Otherwise, you will simply fall asleep. Morning is also possible if you want to start the day with clarity and calm. Some practice in the middle of the night. Wake up, do Nidra, then fall asleep again. Everyone has their own time. How often? Ideally, every day. 30 minutes, like brushing teeth. But if every day is not possible, at least several times a week. Regularity is more important than duration. Better 15 minutes every day than an hour once a month. Effects accumulate. The body learns to relax. The mind learns to let go. And each time, easier, deeper, more natural. What to expect from the first sessions? Different things. Some dive deep the first time and emerge from practice amazed, renewed. Some spend the whole practice fighting thoughts that will not stop. Some fall asleep by the 3rd minute and wake only when the recording ends. All this is normal. All this is part of the process. If thoughts interfere, do not fight them. Simply notice and return to the voice. Thoughts will come. This is the nature of the mind. The task is not to stop them, but not to follow them. Let them be background, like cars outside the window. They are there, but you are not obliged to look out at each one. If you fall asleep, that is not frightening either. The body takes what it needs. If it needs sleep, let it sleep. With time, when the sleep debt decreases, you will begin to stay aware longer. There is no need to fight falling asleep. This creates tension. Simply note, "Oh, falling asleep," and return. Or do not return. All is well. Some people feel nothing special the first few times. No relaxation, no images, no depth. They simply lie and listen. This too is normal. Sometimes effects are not noticeable during practice, but manifest afterward. Better sleep at night. Less irritability during the day. A bit more space between stimulus and reaction. You do not always recognize the connection, but it is there. Patience and trust. 2 keys. Patience, because deep changes require time. Not days, weeks, months. Trust, because sometimes nothing seems to happen, and you need to continue. Trust the process. Trust the ancients who practiced this for thousands of years. trust the thousands of modern people who have found peace in this practice. Yoga Nidra is a path to yourself, not to some new self, improved, modified, to who you are beneath all the layers, beneath fears that accumulated since childhood, beneath tension that became habitual, beneath thoughts that do not stop. There in the depths is silence. There is peace. There is the real you. Yoga Nidra simply removes the interference so you can see it. And when practice ends, when the voice asks you to slowly return, when you begin to move your fingers, stretch, open your eyes, do not hurry. Lie another minute. Let the transition be gentle. Feel your body, heavy and light at the same time. Feel your mind, quiet, like a lake after rain. This is the gift of practice. Take it with you into the day. With this, our journey concludes, but ahead are other roads. The wisdom of India is infinite. There are still so many stories, so many practices, so many paths to understanding yourself and the world. We will continue to explore them together. For now, practice. Lie down, close your eyes, follow the voice into the depths. There, on the threshold of sleep, in that strange space between worlds, silence awaits you. Your own silence. It was always there. You just needed to find the way.